Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho. Today, well, as you guys can probably tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why I think Optic lost the MLG Columbus 25K Open, I think it's called technically, the tournament. Yeah, which was over the weekend. I don't know when this video is going to go up, but hopefully the previous weekend at the time this video is posted is going to be the weekend of the tournament. Anyways, so if you guys don't follow competitive Call of Duty, then don't listen to this because you guys will have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But if you do, then I guess if you want to listen to me rant about why Optic lost and why FaZe won, then here we go. So, spoiler alert, FaZe did win last game on round number 10. It was, I think they closed it out 6-4 last game on, well, in the tournament, basically, yeah. So, here's why I think Optic lost, and there's a lot of reasons why. It's not just because of one particular reason. I think it's just like a culmination of all the reasons that kind of came together, and then, kind of swayed things eventually in FaZe's favor. And I'm saying Optic lost instead of FaZe won, or I'm emphasizing that more because honestly, I think Optic lost it themselves. FaZe didn't do well. There were a lot of things that they did right, but I think it's more important in this case to emphasize and to focus on what Optic did wrong, because I feel like there were a lot of critical mistakes that Optic did in order to lose themselves the tournament when, seeing that they were on the winner's side of the Grand Finals bracket. They should have had that easy. FaZe basically had to beat them twice in a best of 5 in order to win the entire thing, and managed to pull it off. Complete with Aches having stitches in his fucking hand, so that makes him probably perform less, a little bit worse. But how much is a little bit when, you're talking about one of the, world champions at the game. But anyways, I'm ranting on about it. So, the first reason I think that I think Optic lost is because they, in general, just had bad plays and bad decision making. I can name a lot of times if I had photographic memory, but there's this one instance where I think it was the second best of 5. It was game 3. It was the search and destroy, or not search and destroy. It was the capture the flag game. No, it was the first best of 5. First best of 5, capture the flag on retreat. There's this one instance. I don't know if it was first half or second half, where it was a side where Optic was on. They were basically trying to capture the flag that was in the little ring area below attic. I don't know what that area is called, but just basically a ring area. That's what they were attacking. If you guys can understand that. So that moment, Nade was on a full flank. He was overextended, and there were like I think two enemies on wall, basically a call out wall, which is, well, you guys can if you guys probably know if you follow competitive Call of Duty. Anyways, so he was basically outflanking them on wall. He was basically around 5 or 10 meters away from the flag, and he had a choice. He was aiming outside at the back of one dude when there were two guys. I don't think he could see the second guy because he's probably behind the huge pillar thing that's next to the flag on retreat. But nonetheless, maybe he thought that maybe his teammate called out that oh, it's safe to there's only one guy there, shoot him, and he went ahead and shoot him. Or maybe he could have thought that that was the only guy there, so I can shoot him, take the flag, and run. But the thing is that at that time I don't think anyone was dead. I think everyone was still up. It was still a 4v4 situation. Everyone was still up. No one was on respawn timers or anything like that. So the fact that Nature tried going for the kill on wall but missed and backed away, that's not good, because what ends up happening is that, okay, first of all, I want to make a disclaimer that I'm not a Call of Duty professional. I just really like watching competitive Call of Duty, and by no means am I saying that I'm better than any of these players, because I don't play competitive Call of Duty. I just play Call of Duty casually and for fun, not competitively. But I just feel like I can give my 2 cents here or there, because I feel pretty strongly about this topic. The reason why that particular play was bad was because, first of all, he knew that it was, assuming that my own memory is pretty fluky, so assuming that everyone was still alive and no one was on a respawn timer, or on death for both teams, the fact of the matter is that Nate shouldn't have shot at that guy standing on the wall. He had no idea that Nadeshot was there. He was too preoccupied with Nadeshot's teammates on the other side of the map, trying to shoot at them or whatever, trying to scope out the situation. And what Nadeshot should have done was, because he had gone through the overextend route for that side on retreat, what Nate should have done was just not shoot at the guy, but just jack the flag and just run. Just backtrack the way he had came from, which is the overextend route, and just try to go straight for the flag. And just tell either that or wait a moment and tell one of his teammates to cover his overextend route, so that when he did grab the flag, he at least has a chance of someone covering his return flag, his return journey back to his home flag, so he can cap it. That's just one of the examples where I think Optic as a team, not just Nadeshot in particular, but everyone just had these bad decision makes. Like, again, for example, I can name another instance where in the second best of 5, search and destroy on Detroit, I think it was the very last round that won FaZe that game. It was Scumpy. It was 5-5, round 11, and what is it? FaZe was on attacking because Optic had more kills. So FaZe went for a hard A rush, I think. I think that was A bomb. It's the bomb site that's inside. I really need to get on top of my bomb calls. But anyways, they rushed the nearer bomb site, not the further one, but the nearer one, and on retreat. Not retreat, Detroit. And they basically got it down really quick, really fast. They just bulldozed through whatever Optic members were defending that site, and they just got it down really quick. Scump was the last one alive. He was basically in a 1v3 situation. He kills one guy in school. And here's what he does. After he kills the guy in school, he jumps out. He boosts out of the front entrance to school. He boosts up into the air so that he has a bird's eye, or a near bird's eye view, on the bomb site that they planned on. And he shoots the guy who planted the bomb off the bomb. But at the time, by that time, the bomb's already been planted, and those two guys are still there. The reason why that's dumb is because, even if his teammates didn't call out that, everyone's there at that bomb site, be careful. Even if they didn't call it out, which they should have, and if they did, then I guess it's Scump's fault for not listening to them, or being careful, or being more careful. And if they didn't call it out, then it's definitely Scump's teammates' fault for not calling out, hey, look, there are 2 people there, you should probably not, jump into the middle of the fucking open, trying to shoot them, trying to be overzealous and picking them off at the same time. And what ends up happening is that FaZe basically gets a trade, Scump nearly pulls off the 1v3, but because he spends too much time killing the bomb planner, the other guy who's next to the bomb planner shoots Scump right out of the air. That's not smart, because even if Scump's teammates didn't call it out, why would you do that? Why would you? I mean, if the bomb's planted, you would kind of assume, like, the safe option is to assume that there's someone with the bomb carrier protecting him as he's planting it. That's kind of the, I feel like that should be like a safe assumption, unless you're like in a really weird situation where you don't really have any idea where the other team is. But in this case, they had all the tools that that they needed to tell Scumpy that, look, jumping out there is a bad idea. Don't do it. But he did it anyway, and ends up losing the round. It was still a valiant effort, and I could see how it could have worked out. Problem is that FaZe was playing it safe, and they were too good for that. So just decisions like that, and other quote unquote bad plays. Again, I don't want to say sound as if I'm all that and say like oh, I know everything there is to know about competitive Call of Duty. I'm just saying that, hey, look, those kinds of things, bad plays like that were a big reason why Optic basically lost the tournament to FaZe. It's just straight up. They just need to play smarter and make plays that were aggressive but smart, like calculated risks that they know that if they take it, they have a better chance of succeeding than losing. That's kind of what I wanted to emphasize there. But unfortunately, Optic didn't pull it through because they made too many risky plays that were too risky, if you understand. Another reason why I think Optic lost was because, just simple fact of the matter, that Optic isn't FaZe. And what I mean by that is that the players that make up Optic now, because if you guys don't follow competitive Call of Duty, or you have followed competitive Call of Duty but you haven't really been up to date so far, basically for this tournament, Optic is composed of Nadeshot, Scumpy, Crim6, who was formerly from EG and Complexity, and Formal, who was formerly on NV. And FaZe this time is made up of Censor. I think he was there since a couple of Ghost tournaments back. Aches, who, obviously after EG disbanded, or quote-unquote disbanded, joined FaZe. And Slasher, who I honestly didn't know who he was until this tournament, and he fucking killed it this tournament. And Apathy, who came from TK, I think, or somewhere else, I forget. But yeah, those were basically the lineups. Now, analyze those two rosters for a second here. Let's look at FaZe first. FaZe, you got Censor, who admittedly no one really gave him enough credit. I was one of the people who thought Censor was actually one of the better pros in the Call of Duty competitive scene. Even ever since Black Ops 2, which was when I first started, watching competitive Call of Duty tournaments and just getting into this competitive scene in general, I thought Censor was going to be, was eventually going to get the respect as a good competitive Call of Duty player. And today, because I'm recording this on the day after, I'm actually recording this right after the tournament ended, so that I don't forget what I'm trying to talk about here. Today, Censor has redeemed himself. Now, in the minds of many, I'm sure that Censor is now a solid pro who knows what the hell he's doing. Yeah, sure, there's the whole joke about him not having in thumbs or whatever, and admittedly he did make a lot of not really a lot, but he did make a few very critical chokes that could have easily cost his team many games. In fact, like two games in particular I can name that Censor legitimately choked. Like, there is no other way to put it. He didn't aim correctly. He didn't get the kills that were needed to win the match. But fortunately, his teammates were were good enough to how should I say this, correct his mistakes and, pull the team through in the end. So Censor better thank his teammates for that. But yeah, Censor has proved today that not only does he play the OBJ, but he can kill like a motherfucking beast. That's the biggest thing that Censor can take away from this tournament. Not only just winning the first ever LAN Advanced Warfare tournament, but also everyone should give him respect that he deserves as a really good pro now. I mean, obviously, he can have his moments of, oops, I choked. But in this tournament, doesn't matter. They still won. So who cares about his chokes? Except for his haters. But haters gonna hate. Then you've got Apathy. Apathy admittedly, he too had a pretty slow start to the tournament. What is it? I think yesterday night he had one S&D game that he literally went 0-10. That's not good ever. Like, yeah, I know sometimes you can have a slow game, but 0-10, come on, man. But today he turned up. And even before in Ghosts, when he was on TK and when he was on other teams, he was a really solid player. He was a really fucking scary player. So now that we know that Apathy can pull off the same kind of shit in Advanced Warfare, and seeing that what the kind of damage he did today, I have, Apathy is a solid player. No need, I can put my trust in him making it big plays. Let's see, Aches. Where do I even start with Aches? He's a fucking world champion. I think in the best of 5, the last best of 5. Excuse me. No, not the last best. The first best of 5 last map on Searches. Was it last map? No, I don't think so, because FaZe 1-3 won the first best of 5. The first best of 5, the Search and Destroy map on Biolab. I think it was game 2. The last round was Aches versus Formal in a 1v1. When it became that win-win situation, I was like, yeah, Aches won. There's no way Aches is losing. Because you know why? Aches is a fucking Call of Duty veteran. He's been playing Call of Duty competitive for however many years, probably longer than I've been in high school or something like that, or even been in high school and college together, probably. So when you play Call of Duty or play any game for that long, you develop kind of like a gaming sixth sense that you might see a lot of other professional video game players develop, like whatever game that they might play. You might see the top League of Legends players making these big plays that other people will be like just like mind blown. Like, how the hell did he know how to do that at that specific moment? Aches is one of those people where he just knows what the fuck to do at that fucking moment. And as soon as it became that 1v1 situation between Aches and Formal, I was like, sorry, Formal, I understand that, you're a really talented, versatile player. I know you've won championships in both Halo and Call of Duty, but that doesn't fucking matter. Aches is going to kick your ass, and he did. So unfortunately, no matter how good you are individually, sometimes if you're up against a person like Aches, where they just simply know what to do better than you do, then there's not really much you can do. In that sense, I guess it wasn't really Optic's fault or mistake, but they should have recognized that, and they should have played it safer so that Formal wouldn't have to be in that 1v1 situation. And in fact, that round, Scumpy fucking choked that one kill they was supposed to get on Apathy because he was staring at it for a full half a second, and he didn't fucking kill him when it was right around the corner, behind that little set of 3 boxes or whatever. That was honestly, I think, not partly, a lot Scump's fault there, because Scump should have killed Apathy easily and not have to leave Formal in the 1v1 situation against Aches. He shouldn't have done that. And finally, who would I leave out? Slasher. Slasher, again, I didn't know him until I didn't know who he was until this tournament. But now that I know him, yeah, I think Slasher, I don't need to explain who he is. I think basically Slasher was their main slayer in the entire throughout the entire grand finals. Like almost every single map, first half of every single game that he plays, Slasher has the most amount of kills. Like if you have the most amount of kills in the entire lobby for that many times, you're probably doing something right. So yeah, Optic shouldn't have let Slasher get that many kills, or let him kill them that many times. And if we look at Optic, Nadeshot, here's where I start roasting people. Nadeshot is, well, first of all, his respawn game was fucking ass the entire tournament. He did turn up on the last day. Don't get me wrong. He did perform very well throughout, overall throughout the entire grand finals and throughout the last championship Sunday. But on Saturday night, it was just, dude, Nate, what are you doing? Like he was double negative like a lot of the time in situations where they can't afford to have him go double negative. Like imagine if they were, if Nadeshot wasn't going double negative during those games, I mean, they couldn't have put themselves in a better situation that they did after, Saturday night, which was to be in winner's bracket still. But still, when you have that in the back of your mind, it's like, well, you have even more pressure going into Championship Sunday, because you know that you can't have a performance like that, otherwise you're going to lose your team. You lose your team in the tournament, and just doing that shitty isn't going to help you, or isn't going to help Nadeshot or help anyone. So yeah, that, and I understand he's really good at SND, but guess what? So is FaZe. And when you have Aches on the other team, who also knows just as much SND as you do, yeah, you're in a lot of trouble. So yeah, Nadeshot just wasn't performing like they were. Like I heard that they were winning all the Sunday weekly 10Ks or whatever, or the 5Ks. Like why can't you do that in on LAN? I understand it's online and all, but come on, you can do that on LAN too, right? Like gotta turn up. And people always keep saying in their post-tournament vlogs or whatever that, oh, it's always about, when, like, just a tournament, who turns up on that day. Yeah, I understand that. And so, if that's what you know, if that's what you claim, and that's what you understand, then why don't you fucking turn up on that day then? It's just simple as that. Just do what you preach, and no one's gonna be, you won't have to make any vlogs like that, right? Scumpy, I'll just say it clean and short, he's very mercurial. And what I mean by that, if you guys don't know what the word mercurial means, or maybe if I'm using the word incorrectly because I'm trying to use big words that I don't know how to use in order to sound smart, Scumpy, here's the thing, Scumpy, it's either he performs well or he doesn't. That's simple as that. Either he goes off or he's shut down. Bipolar. It's just black and white. Either he's on or off. Sorry, you can't be like that if you're a pro player. It's just a simple truth. So, yeah. If there's a game that Scumpy plays and he's really shut down, like if he's shut down hard, chances are Optic's not going to win that match. Next is Formal. Like I said before, Formal is yeah, he's got raw talent, but sometimes raw talent just isn't enough to go up against pure expertise and pure knowledge of the game. You know, maybe give Formal maybe another couple of years if he chooses to stay, if he chooses to stay within the competitive Call of Duty scene and keep playing competitive Call of Duty, and not go back to Halo, which that's up to him. Then yeah, I can see Formal developing the same kind of game knowledge that Aches has or Nadeshot has. But as it stands right now, he's barely been playing the game for a year, and unfortunately, he still needs to build up that raw game knowledge. That's just about it. And Crimsix, well, he's kind of like Scumpy, but Scumpy on crack, in my opinion. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Scumpy's the best Slayer." No, I think Crimsix is better than Scumpy. Like, I think Crimsix does better than Scumpy in general. Like, if you were to put their average talent, like how their average performances for a tournament side by side, Crimsix would be higher. But if you compare their raw, if you compare their raw talent or in other words their potential talent, like their potential performances, Scumpy's will be way higher. Like Scumpy, if he gets on a roll, he will fucking dominate people, even harder than Crimsix can. But the thing is that Crimsix can dominate people more often than Scumpy can, if that makes sense. But even still, Crimsix has his own down times, as was clearly demonstrated in the grand finals. So yeah, you can't have that either. You need to have consistent players. You can't have people dropping, going -5 or 6 or 7 in their KD. You just can't have that. So unfortunately, just based on the rosters alone, it's Optic screwed. I think overall FaZe just has a better caliber of a team than Optic did, and I could be wrong. I could have been wrong about this, but this weekend the tournament definitely proved me right in that respect once it came to the grand finals. Third of all, Optic is a momentum team. Optic, if they have the momentum, if they win the first matches of the set, then they have a big chance of winning the entire set. Or if they're going on a roll, then they have a much better chance of winning it than if they're coming back from a deficit. Like I said that on the second set of best of fives, if FaZe wins that first match of the second best of five, when they reset the bracket, or after they reset the bracket, FaZe is gonna win, and sure enough, FaZe did win. Optic really, like, on Championship Sunday, Nadeshot gave this interview after they won against Prophecy or whatever, saying that we don't really build off the hype. No, fuck you, Nadeshot, you do. Your team builds off the hype. Having Scumpy yell in that booth, having Crimsix say, "Fuck these guys are awful." That's what motivates you, Nadeshot, and the faster you realize that, the faster you play into that, the better you're gonna do. And unfortunately, as soon as I heard Nadeshot say that, I was like, man, I don't know what to say. That's not a very good thing to say, Nadeshot, because I hope you realize deep down inside that that's actually not true, what you're saying, because the opposite is actually true. So, even as I say that, though, Optic is pretty prone to choking things. Like, they've choked a lot of things before, like being up 4-0 against the enemy team in Search and Destroy, and letting them come back 6-4 and kicking their asses. It's really wonky. It sucks rooting for like the popular guys. Obviously Optic is the TSM of Call of Duty, if you want to put it that way. But I don't know what it is with Optic, but they just always had that little murk cloud in the back of the head, thinking, oh, what if we choke this? We might actually choke this, and it's sure enough. Sometimes it actually does, and it actually does turn out that they do choke it, and that's not what you should have. That's not what should happen. You're a pro team. When you have the lead, you should secure it, not fucking let it slip out of your dick. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, Optic is a momentum team. First game can determine everything, and in this case, it certainly did. FaZe winning the first game of the second best of five meant that FaZe won, and I called it. Next, I want to go into a little bit more specific here. A little bit more of the specifics here. Uplink, as you guys know, if you guys do follow the Call of Duty competitive scene, Uplink is a new game type in Advanced Warfare, where it's basically kind of like American football, or maybe like rugby. I personally I've never played rugby or seen rugby being played, so maybe I have very little knowledge of what this is about or what rugby is about. But because I know what American football is, it's basically like American football, you know, and a little bit of mix of basketball in there too. Basically, no, I would say it's more like American football. I mean, people always say, "Oh, dunk, dunk, dunk," but I think it's more like an American thing, being, you know, obsessed with basketball and whatever. But it's a lot like American football, where, you know, the ball is in the center, or no, it's like capture the flag. It is capture the flag. What the fuck? It's like this capture the flag you play at school, where there you've got that bacon in the middle of the field, and you have to. There are two teams on the other side of the field, and you have to go grab from the middle and then take it to the other side of the field or whatever. It's basically like that. You know, the ball spawns in the middle, and or in a place where it's the ball is equidistant from both portals, the scoring portals of both sides. And basically, both teams have to go try to get the ball and score it into the enemy team's portal, kind of like Blitz from Call of Duty Ghosts. Except this time there's a twist, where if you throw the ball in from range, you get 1 point, but if you dunk it in, or in other words, you just make a touchdown with it by taking the ball and directly going into the portal with it, then you get 2 points. So obviously there's a big incentive, and there's like a different kind of strategy there in order to score an uplink. Basically, that's what it is. So here's the thing that I thought about their uplink games. FaZe is a more alley-oopy style game, or alley-oopy style team where they always have one guy sneak up to someplace near the enemy portal, and all the other FaZe members have to do is they just have to grab the ball, get into a place where they can see that other guy who's near the enemy team's portal. And this game in uplink, because the ball, like when you pass the ball to your teammate, it doesn't matter how far away they are. If you pass it, the ball will just fucking home in like a fucking homing missile to them, and they'll automatically catch it within a couple seconds, depending on how far away they are, and they can just dunk it right in if they're right next to the portal. So that's what they were doing, that's what they were trying to do a lot of times, where FaZe would have one guy, namely Aches, get up near the enemy portal, and all they needed to do was just toss the ball to him. They just all the FaZe players needed to do was grab the ball from the middle of the field, or just recover the ball, whatever. Get into possession, get to a place where they can see Aches, just throw it, just toss the ball to him or pass the ball to him, and all he needs to do is just jump once, boost once, and boost forward, and boom, you've got 2 free points right there. And just keep doing it over and over. They did this against another team. I don't know what team it was, I forgot. It wasn't against Optic, it was against another team, maybe Prophecy, that they scored 6 points within the last minute of the round, or the game, on Uplink Detroit, where basically all Aches was doing, or whoever was there scoring those 6 points was he was just sitting underneath the portal, jump up, they pass the ball straight to him all the way from the place where the ball spawns in, and just dunks it in. Dunk, 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 3 times in a row, and boom, there's 6 points. What the fuck are you giving about it? Stay mad, bitch. That's what they were doing. That's FaZe's style of playing uplink. Optic is the more, we're going to go for the big plays. We're going to go for the crowd pleasers. We're going to go for the dunks. We're going to go for the dunks. We're going to man our way through and fucking dunk it in ourselves like real men. And unfortunately, playing like real men isn't going to win you all the tournaments. Sometimes you have to be sleazy son of a bitches in order to win the games. Well, that being said, don't play like Fnatic did against LDLC on Overpass, if you guys get that reference over this weekend. But not that way. But if it's something that isn't douchebaggy to that level, and it's legal, then do it. And what FaZe was doing, was fundamentally a lot easier than what Optic was doing, which was just basically like, okay, FaZe was playing American football. Optic was playing rugby. I hope that analogy makes sense. Because Optic was basically just trying to manhandle their way through and not passing the ball to other people. It was like they were ball hogs, almost. It's like they were ball hogs, and whoever got the ball wasn't really willing to pass the ball to someone else who was nearer and could be in a position where they could score more easily. And instead, they just try to, headbutt the wall of FaZe players, and they just try to dunk it in themselves. And fortunately, it did work out in Game 4 of the second best of 7 in Grand Finals, because they managed to clutch it out at the very last moment, winning 11-10. That was pretty epic. But that's not a smart way to play uplink, or it's not the efficient way to play uplink. You know, in uplink, you have to be very, very efficient. And the most efficient way to score points is just to grab the ball, pass it to your teammates, pass it until you can pass it to someone who's right next to the enemy portal, who can just grab the ball and just jump it in. That's all you need to do in uplink. Not try to do what Optic did and just just try to force the ball in, like, you know. I was about to make a really perverted joke, but I'll stop there. Differing strategies like that also I think kind of drained Optic's energy out of them in order to cause them to lose the match or the tournament, if that makes any sense. So yeah, uplink. I think uplink needs to be played differently by Optic, and they need to figure out an easier way to score points. I mean, I'm not saying that their way is faulty, because they are wrecking kids with it, or they were wrecking other teams with it, with that same play style throughout the tournament. It's just that here against FaZe, I really noticed the difference between uplink strategies between those two teams, between Optic and FaZe. In this case, I'd have to give the edge to FaZe, even though Optic came out on top. Next, again, Optic seems to play individually and not as a team. Like, this is most notable in Search and Destroy, but even more notable in Hardpoint, where in the first best of 5, the first game, I think it was Hardpoint on Solar, I just couldn't help but feel that Optic was just not flooding the hardpoint together as a team. Like, they were all filing in one by one and letting themselves get picked off really easily by FaZe. And I was just looking at that, I was just like face palming, like, Optic, what are you doing? You know, regroup and flood the fucking hill together. Don't let them pick you off one by one by filing and like spawning in and immediately trying to go for the hard point, trying to break it by yourselves. No, don't do that. In Hardpoint Detroit, I don't know which exactly which game it was. I don't know. It was it might have been the second best of 5, but or it could have been the first one. I don't know. But in Hardpoint Detroit, FaZe versus Optic, every time FaZe broke the hardpoint, I noticed that they were breaking it from multiple angles by having people flood the hardpoint together. Not filing in one by one, but all flooding the hardpoint together. Now, granted, they're pretty good at doing that on Detroit. They've done this before, and I think that they really know how to break hardpoints in Detroit. But the fact of the matter is that Optic wasn't doing the same thing to them. They still hadn't caught on that that's what they should be doing in order to break the hill. And I understand that in Advanced Warfare, Hardpoint can be played a little bit differently than Hardpoint was played back in Black Ops 2, because obviously in Advanced Warfare you have a lot more mobility, and you have a lot better of an ability to break hardpoints because of just your sheer mobility using the exosuit movements and whatever. But even then, that shouldn't get to your head, because even still, if you're playing hardpoint, you're still playing hardpoint. If you want to break something, you have to break it together, not one by one. You can't have the individual plays. You can't rely on Scumpy or Crimsix annihilating the entire other team and then breaking it. No, that's not realistic enough. The chance of that ever happening, while it's cool and while it's been done before, don't rely on it. Break the hardpoint together as a team. And lastly, in the very last Search and Destroy game, second best of 5, game 5, where FaZe eventually won over Optic 6-4. The reason why I think Optic lost that game in particular is because Optic did not play aggressive enough. Every single one of their attacking rounds, they were sitting back. They were sitting back in their half of the map on recovery, and they were waiting for the other team to make mistakes. When you're up against FaZe, and when you're up against a player who has aches, and who's probably not gonna make dumb mistakes as charging the attacking team, when he's on defense, like, no, you don't expect them to do that. And yeah, one might argue that it's a calculated risk. But how much is that exactly a calculated risk if you know what your enemy team, is? Crimsix should have known that. He's been teaming with Aches for the past year and a half or so since Black Ops 2, when they were back in the complexity days. He should know how Aches plays because he's been his team for that fucking long. Crimsix should have said, look, guys, we need to be aggressive because Aches and his boys on FaZe are just gonna wait for us to fucking make a move because we're offense and they know that we're the ones who need to make a play in order to force them to act because that's kind of what that's search and destroy in a nutshell basically. Offense needs to make a move unless everyone gets picks or something. But how reliably can you get picks against a team like FaZe when you have people like Nate Shot, Scump, Crim6, and Formal on Optic? I'm not too sure about that. Personally, I'm not too confident in their ability to get picks. I'm more confident in FaZe to get those picks instead of the guys on Optic. No offense, but that's just honestly how I feel. Yeah, just they weren't aggressive enough. Conversely, flipped over to when FaZe is on offense. You know what Sensor does? He fucking picks up that bomb and he fucking books it like a fucking linebacker over to the A-bomb site 2 rounds in a row, I think, and he plants that shit. He plants it. Or maybe he does plant it. I think one of the rounds they actually do manage to catch on to what he's doing, so he doesn't do it anymore. But one of the rounds, actually, that's not a very good example either because fuck, that round where Sensor did just go full on YOLO rush mode over the A bomb with the bomb and plant it. I think FaZe actually lost that round, so that's not a really good example. But those kinds of aggressive strategies, I think Optic should have made a lot more frequently in order to change the tide of the game in towards their favor. Because I honestly feel like FaZe kind of knows that Optic likes to play slow in Search and Destroy. I think they've had that figured out, honestly speaking. So the fact that Optic did play slow was just playing into FaZe's expectations, and they were just able to take advantage of it. In my opinion, maybe I could be completely wrong on that, and I have a feeling I am. But if I were to make an educated guess, that would be it. And there was also one more thing that I wanted to say, if I could remember. Just overall, while I try to remember what I wanted to say. Overall, just that last game, Optic was not aggressive enough. They basically needed to make blitz plays. Rush A bomb, or rush B bomb even, and just go full YOLO mode and just bam, plant it and get it over with. Because there was even one point where, was it the first best of 5 against FaZe in the grand finals, or was it against another team? I don't remember. No, it was against Envy. It was against Envy, where on recovery it was Nate Shot and Scump versus Merc. It was a 1v2. Guess who wins? Merc wins. Because why? Because Nate Shot didn't fucking plant the bomb. Like, what the hell? He played that round so slow, he ran out of time to plant the bomb when B-bomb on recovery was wide fucking open. The chat was going like, huh? Like, Nate, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, that's a choke if I've ever seen one. Running out of time because you are playing the game so fucking slow. That should never happen. That shouldn't ever fucking happen. And Nate should have taken that moment as a lesson and realized, shit, we need to play faster. We need to play faster, if not smarter. Whatever. That's another can of worms I won't even open. But yeah, they weren't being aggressive. And what I mean by aggressive is not just running down mid on recovery and letting themselves get lined up for the FaZe snipers in the back of the map, waiting for them to rush towards them. I don't mean that kind of stupid aggressiveness. I mean like good aggressiveness. Like a good example of good aggressiveness was last round, the very last round, the game-winning round. I think it was that round. Sensor took the bomb, booked it straight over to A, like he did 2 rounds before in the earlier in the match. He goes over there, but instead of actually going up to the bomb, he waits in that little corner just behind the bomb. And what he does is he peeks. He constantly peeks. Even though he knows that if there's someone behind the bomb, they could probably shoot him because of just how fast the Bal kills. The Bal 27, which is the best gun in the game currently, because, well, and Sledgehammer apparently doesn't know how to bounce weapons. Get it? Bal, bounce weapons? Anyways. That's a common pun. Everyone in the Call of Duty community knows that. But anyways, like, that's a sign of good aggressiveness, because Sensor did see that guy behind the bomb, so he just keeps peeking. He just keeps peeking it, trying to bait out shots so that his teammates know exactly where that guy is, so they can see him on their min maps. You know, he just keeps trying to peek it, and eventually he peeks it so many times that just whoever was behind that bomb just was like, whatever, just move on. And Sensor was able to plan it. I don't know if he did put it down. I think he was able to put it down. So yeah, those kinds of aggressive plays Optic needed to have made in order to, you know, help themselves, or, you know, basically give themselves a good chance, a much better chance to win that game. But they didn't. And, you know, they played it way too slow, and I really hope that Optic takes this tournament, looks at their search and destroys, and determines that the reason why their S&D game isn't so great is because they've been playing shit way too fucking slow. I really hope that they do make it, because that's one of the biggest problems with search and destroy right now in Advanced Warfare. Like, I don't know how well they've been playing in the online tournaments, but on LAN, it's pretty fucking obvious to me anyway. I could be wrong, because I'm not a professional Call of Duty player or a caster or anything. I'm just a lousy spectator, but in my opinion, it's pretty fucking clear that one of the biggest reasons why Optic, their search and destroy game wasn't very great or wasn't spectacular at all was because of the fact that they were just taking way too slow. Just way too slow, and which is kind of weird, because you'd expect with a team with 3 fucking Slayers on it, you'd expect them to play hard, right? Maybe Nacho was calling the shots. I don't know. He could have been, but you know, they need to play aggressive. You know, Advanced Warfare, with all these new mobility movements and whatever, with all their, you know, with all the new movement mechanics and stuff like that. Basically, Advanced Warfare is probably by far one of the fastest paced Call of Duty games. It could be, or even be argued as the fastest paced Call of Duty game throughout the entire Call of Duty franchise, just because of how the exo movement has so drastically changed the flow of the game and just the simple gameplay itself. So playing slow and passive, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right with Advanced Warfare. It really doesn't. It suits other Call of Duties, like Call of Duty Ghosts and Call of Duty Black Ops 2 maybe, those other Call of Duties more, but not Advanced Warfare. Not Advanced Warfare. I feel like the teams, I'm calling it right now, the teams who figure out that the best way to play Search and Destroy in Advanced Warfare is to rush and to play aggressive, those teams will be the best teams, at least in Search and Destroy, throughout the life cycle of Advanced Warfare. I'm calling it right now. You guys heard it here first. Or maybe someone else said it, I don't know. But anyways, thanks for listening to my 42-minute, answer to life video explanation of why I think Optic lost the MLG Columbus Open 25K, whatever the hell the name is. So yeah. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.